gonna show this video from this is another great Africa response video. I'm gonna just cut my L's. I don't want to spoil it.
And I got one, so we would just make this the African
I
response.
have
another one to show you too. Go ahead.
Hopefully this is not the one because I think
no. That's not the one.
This is another great one.
That's another.
In that same vein, and before I got on the AOC rant, I was talking about how the NATO left and the boutique media apparatus, they don't cover Africa. That's not part of their analysis at all. At all. They repeat often MSNBC talking points that the world is united behind Putin. Putin made a miscalculation. Biden has united and strengthened his allies. You see stuff, people like fucking Ro Khanna say that shit. That's the line for the Democratic Party. But meanwhile, this is the reality of the situation. You got people like Naledi Pandora from South Africa, who is more they are very open about calling the United States out and why they are losing influence.
You know, I think this notion of international rules is very comfortable for some people to use when it suits them, but they don't believe in international rules when it doesn't suit them, because they don't apply international rules or law equally in all circumstances. So you can't say because Ukraine has been invaded that suddenly sovereignty is important.
Yes.
But it was never important for Palestine. It's very peculiar. If you believe in international law.
She just called out the inconsistency.
I love the accent, Nick, because it's like she's black, but she has this stereotypical white, like British accent. So it's like it helps. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
it helps with the slang of the imperialists to do it with their own dialect. You get what I'm saying?
It's like, hey, we know who you are. We know who you are. Yeah, you know I got German ancestry, the big part of my DNA. I know you motherfuckers are. I know what y'all did to our ancestors. They know they was there.
Yeah.
They know who supported apartheid. I would play that part again. God, that part powerful, and I'll let it play a little bit more.
She actually, I think there might be another clip of her. There might be another one. I'll see if I can find it. There might be another one of her too. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not gonna pretend I'm super familiar with her, but I've seen a lot of great clips of her speaking truth to power on Western imperialism.
Invaded. That suddenly sovereignty is important, but it was never important for Palestine. It's very peculiar. If you believe in international law truly, then wherever sovereignty is infringed, it must apply. And this is the point we've been making, that we use the framework of international law unequally, depending on who is affected. And we are arguing that that must change. And one of the interesting changes that has occurred is the sudden movement, because Russia has invaded Ukraine, that we say, okay, let's not allow the Security Council to just have the veto and let it pass. We take it to the General Assembly. When some of us had been calling for the General Assembly to have a greater say, we never enjoyed support. But suddenly today, see, that's where international law begins to mean nothing. Because for some, we see it as a cheating, and for others, we see it as a benefit.
And that's the concept I explained at my most recent live stream. You guys can check out Nick at Night as well. Weaponized hypocrisy. What Western chauvinists, what Democrats and liberals, what they constantly do is they say, "Oh my God, I know we do bad things, but don't let Putin off the hook." That is whataboutism. Putin is responsible for war crimes. You bring Joe Biden. Oh, come on, it's whataboutism. You vote for a war criminal. That is weaponized hypocrisy. Is the highest form of corruption. And it enables corruption like none other. And this was a Cuban ambassador to the United Nations spelled out months ago. And that's why he voted to refuse to condemn Russia for war crimes, because he said until this commission condemns Palestine, condemns the United States, condemns the George W. Bush, this is a corruption regime, because it allows the West and their allies to be emboldened because they know they can get away with whatever they want. Meanwhile, they weaponize and use humanitarian rights that they are responsible for violating as a way to attack and provoke their quote-unquote geopolitical enemies. It's an extremely nefarious strategy that they do.
Here's another African and he's not having it. Just calling it out. This one is in specific about the criminal court, the International Criminal Court.
Putin is welcomed here, and no one is going to arrest Putin. If needs be, we'll go and fetch Putin from the airport to his meeting. He will finish all his meetings. We'll take him back to the airport. We're not going to be told by these hypocrites of the International Criminal Court who know the real violators of human rights, who know the murder.
He's saying, you know who the real violators are. And everybody on the planet knows who the real violators are. So you can take this freaking charge and shove it where you know where, Nick. That's basically what he's saying, and I'm loving it. Let's continue.
Of this world. That former Prime Minister of Tony Blair admitted that they made a horrible mistake when it comes to Saddam Hussein. They've not been charged today. Bush is still there. They've not been charged till to date. And then Obama killed Gaddafi. And then nothing has happened. We're here today with Libya being destroyed and unable to recover because of America. We know very well that where NATO gets involved, those are terrorists. We know very well where the US says we are going in to install peace. That place will never know peace as long as America has visited that place. So we don't want ICC's hypocrisy to apply here in our country.
You notice how he intertwines the United States with the ICC because everybody knows that they're intertwined. Like he's talking United States and talking ICC because they're intertwined. They're one and the same. Go ahead.
And this is what I mentioned on Glenn Greenwald's System Update show. And I'm working. I think we're gonna have Glenn on here soon as well. So that's gonna be a fire show. But he said, I mentioned on his show, I said, I love that they did this. I love that the ICC put this arrest warrant on Putin. Because I have done stories weeks beforehand where I show you guys how they did not want, the Pentagon did not want that to happen. They know they'll be safe, right? They don't think they're going to get arrested because of this. But it creates a snowball effect. Like, oh, this happened. Now other leaders like this guy gonna get to talk about it. You bring up this conversation that the neocons and the people in the Pentagon did not want to have. Oh, if we're gonna stand for the rule of law and prosecute war criminals, what about Barack Obama's decision not to prosecute George W. Bush? And that was the main thing everyone was arguing with, let alone Netanyahu, let alone John Bolton, Mike Pompeo, Donald Trump. Guys are like, man, I love that they did this. I don't care about Putin. I'm glad they opened the conversation up. Let's have this debate. Let's have this conversation. And I'll show you guys how even someone like Mehdi Hassan, that scumbag, even he can cook a neocon. He invite one of them people on the show because he knew it was gonna be easy. Man, it was a smart move. That's an easy debate. Make him look smart, right? Have some guy who was trying to argue that we should prosecute Putin, but we shouldn't prosecute George W. Bush. Cause you're like, oh man, that really let Putin off the hook. No, you're letting what you were saying is the exact opposite. You're letting George W. Bush off the hook. You're like, oh,
it's like they want us to. It's like it's a top 10 most wanted list, and the United States keeps saying, forget the top 10 list. Let's go over and get number 207. You get what I'm saying? It's like, dude, what about the top 10 list, basically? But I do have one more video, and it's with the guy who we started with, and we'll close out this Africans Ain't Having It segment. And I love the teaming up that Africans are doing with China in particular. Just to have the dynamic of two non-European faces talking about power dynamics, it's a beautiful thing to see. Yeah,
period. Cross and Laura.
They're like, "Where's the white face at? Where's Tom Cruise and Brad Pitt in this movie?" That's what they're saying, Nick.
This should have been keeping Fox News up at night, bro. Fox News has been hilarious the last few weeks, dude. They've been melting down all this. But go ahead, CJ.
All right, so let's listen to another short clip from this same African leader from our intro.
Look at the for example, the coverage of China in the Western press or in remarks by Western officials, in particular US officials, they often refer to China as the biggest, or top challenge or biggest threat to the US existence. How do you understand that kind of allegation or criticism?
You can understand why they are worried about like a country like China, because China is working in the opposite direction to them. China is working to free other people and free itself from being plundered, from being humiliated.
You're not gonna see this on
This
CNN.
is the country.
Not at all.
You're not even gonna see this on Left Independent News, apparently.
The NATO left can't go down this rabbit hole, Nick. It would have them in conflict with the Democratic Party. And remember that article, I forget what website, but the article where that said basically the DSA and all their followers are willing to get rid of any policy that comes in conflict with how they're seen at the kids' table at the Democratic Party.
Yes, they didn't cover that either.
So,
but they gonna talk about how Bernie went on Fox News and slayed, though.
I know. He had the hearing. Now I covered the hearing too with Howard Schultz, for example.
I'm not saying he didn't.
I covered that, and that was good. That's a good thing. Yeah, that's a good thing. Bring capitalists and slay them. But my critique is, what are you doing after this, Bernie?
Yeah,
because that's where the critique is. You only are talking and tweeting, and you want other people to do the work, and you're not doing the work, Bernie. So what are you doing? You brought Howard Schultz in. You know that's what they're doing. What are you gonna do?
I'm not impressed by the hearings, man. That what Katie Porter got famous for. They'll do these big theatrical hearings where they grill these capitalists. They'll nail these capitalists to the wall. And I'll be honest, guys. Back in the early days, I used to fall for that shit too. I used to see them people like, damn, dude, this is great, man. You got someone actually calling these people out. But then after seeing it over and over and over and over again with nothing happening, not only did nothing happen, they would then vote in favor of these people that they were grilling later.
Yes.
So I'm like, I realized like, damn, I really was an idiot for falling for this because it's obviously a show. Like they both it's annoying for the CEO building or whatever. But what they're thinking, they're like, yeah, we doing all this illegal shit. They're gonna just slap us on the wrist. The worst we gotta do is we gotta show up at Congress and get lectured at, and they just sit there with their billions of dollars.
Yes,
billions of dollars in their pocket. Like, you know how a rapper stands when you ever seen rap battle?
Yeah.
You know how the rapper stands when you get
when I see
the CEO at his Congresses. Yeah, I'm rich as fuck. I don't give a fuck about none of this. Oh, you got me, AOC. Oh, you got me, I guess.
Yeah, and the thing is, in January of the presidential season, they'll be having fundraisers, toasting them with some champagne. Like, that was a good one, huh, guys? Yes, that was a good one.
Yeah, you can continue to do that, CJ.
Yeah, let's finish this.
Thrived, survived, prospered from slave trade, cross-Atlantic slave trade. They enslaved the Africans for centuries. They plundered the resources of Latin America, the resources of Africa, the resources of Asia. They plundered even the resources of Europe. This is the country, if plundered today, exploitation of other people is removed, the USA will not be the powerful country that it is today. If there's equality in the dealings with each other, the USA ceases because it doesn't know how to deal with other people on an equal basis, with other nations on an equal basis. It gets lost. It's worried today with the multipolar world that is emerging because its hegemonic interests are being threatened. It's not China per se. It's the interests of the Americans that are being threatened with a world that is more equal, that is more fair, that is more just. They can't survive in that world because their methods of existence are based on plundering other nations, on humiliating other nations, on exploiting other nations.
Well, related to
man, that last line, their whole existence is based on plundering and stealing. That is absolutely on point. If I had to describe America, like history, existence in one sentence, it's based on plundering everybody else's resources and taking that shit. That's
in the Ron DeSantis style Republicans, the right wing, and white America as a whole, they want to ban critical race theory because you're brainwashing the kids into hating our country by talking about stuff that we do. I'm thinking like little Timmy, Ron DeSantis, y'all can ban critical race theory all you want. That doesn't stop the people in Africa to know from what you guys did. They're not going to stop the hood.
It's
stories.
It's only not preparing your own offspring for what's coming. It's so stupid because you're not preparing your own offspring. What everybody else in the world is learning and looking at us, and your own offspring is going to be just like, what's wrong, guys? You know what I'm saying? Like, you're not preparing your offspring by doing this, and it's you know. But what can they do? Like, what is their other option, Nick? Like, how does white supremacy have a come to Jesus moment and say, you know what, guys, sorry world, like what can they do at this point? You know what I'm saying? Like, surrender? Like, it's nothing that can be done but just to ride this out. It's like, it's almost like this is what they got to do. What other option do they have?
Fam, Kamala Harris went to Africa, and there was a collective eye roll across the entire continent. No one falling for this bullshit no more.
In the news conference when she was there, man, the other African leader was saying shit while she was standing right next to her. It's so funny.
Smiling the whole time. I had no idea what the fuck's going on.